cloning disaster, cloning disaster, cloning disaster. Don't wanna be killed by my clone. Cloning disaster, cloning disaster. Don't wanna be killed by my clone. No.
Hello there, guys. Yeah, standard YouTube intro. Before I start, I did not have a proper way to introduce this series, so I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what it's about. Scientifically Accurate is the show on this channel where I discuss science. What science, you may ask? Well, the branch of science I know the most and like the most is biology, mostly paleontology. I can identify what type of prehistoric creature something is just by looking at it. I know, I'm a big nerd. But I do also love quantum physics and that space science, such as time travel and black holes. And well, you know, the stuff that will make your head explode. So, yeah. Alright, I know it's extremely early for me to be doing this. Holy crap, the first episode was just 1 week ago, for gosh sakes. But this month is going to be Jurassic Park Month. Yeah, I had to pick these movies, especially after that shameful Super Bowl commercial. For those that know their paleontology, they well know why I picked Jurassic Park. 2 words. Featherless dinosaurs. That's why. This movie series is filled with hundreds of scientific inaccuracies, and they never learn from them. And the good news is, we have 3 whole episodes to discuss all of their problems. So let's start this month out with a roar. Welcome to Scientifically Accurate Jurassic Park. P.S. Explainers coming next week, for all those people that are worried for that.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, for all those people who have never heard of Jurassic Park, hopefully there is nobody in the world that are these people. Jurassic Park is a 1993 science fiction adventure film directed by Steven Spielberg. Yup, the same guy that somewhat contributed to the popularization of scientifically inaccurate aliens. I know we are in safe hands. The movie is about a rich guy named John Hammond opening up a zoo for dinosaurs that were resurrected by cloning. The dinosaurs escape, causing mass chaos. It's a pretty good movie, with some cool scenes and cool ideas, but holy heck did they get their science wrong. Like, by gosh, there's almost nothing in this movie that's scientifically accurate at all. So why are we talking about it then? Well, there's 2 reasons. One reason is how much the movie claims it is scientifically accurate. It portrays itself as an uber-realistic adventure into a view of what dinosaurs would look like. Look at all the science-y gadgets and fancy dinosaur names so sure of itself, when it is extremely inaccurate in all those aspects. And yeah, the other reason we are looking at this movie is due to its impact, because ooh, what movie pretty much introduced and defined the cultural depiction of dinosaurs? Oh, this movie. Yeah, Jurassic Park alone created the culture-defining depictions of dinosaurs. It also greatly inspired the public's perception of dinosaurs as scary, violent monsters. Jurassic Park was so defining that it was pretty much the War of the Worlds equivalent of dinosaur interpretations. Let's just say, if Jurassic Park was more accurate, then the public's perception of dinosaurs would be a whole lot more accurate. If Jurassic Park featured feathered dinosaurs, then the current depiction of dinos in the pop culture would be vastly different. The toy shelves would be filled with dinosaur toys looking like giant feathered birds, in contrast to the current toy shelves that feature inaccurate scaly bipedal crocodiles that are so shamefully called dinosaurs. So, all in all, as we see, Jurassic Park is an extremely important movie in both pop culture and the paleontology field. And that is the reason its inaccuracies must be addressed. So, first and foremost is the name of the film in the park, Jurassic Park. The name refers to the Jurassic period. The Jurassic period was a time period that took place about 200 to 145 million years ago. This period in Earth's history was a time period when giants roamed and dinosaurs were their largest. Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus, some of the largest creatures that ever walked the Earth, existed in this time period. So you would expect the naming of a zoo after the period would include Jurassic animals. This is not the case in the film. Majority of the dinosaurs featured in the film are dinosaurs from the Cretaceous period. This includes Triceratops, Velociraptor, and TRex. It simply does not make sense to name a park after a period in Earth history that does not include the type of dinosaurs presented in that period. A more proper name would be Cretaceous Park or Mesozoic Park. because it features dinosaurs from both Jurassic and Cretaceous. I know this is just a small nitpick out of many, so let's move along. So, the first true inaccuracy in the movie is the basic concept of the movie, resurrecting extinct animals via cloning. This concept of bringing extinct animals back from the dead is actually really accurate. Many scientists claim we could resurrect recently extinct animals. When I say recent, I mean 10,000 years recent, such as the woolly mammoth or thylacine. The scientists claim we could use the method of cloning to produce an identical clone to the now extinct animal's DNA. Now, let me explain what cloning is. Cloning is the process of replicating a creature's DNA or genetic makeup to be used in protein production. Protein production results in a process of creating an identical twin of the creature the DNA was taken of in the first place. Believe it or not, this process has been around for many years. The first clones being Robert and Briggs and Thomas's tadpoles in 1952. Now, the complexity of that form of cloning was very primitive. The process would make us need the unfertilized egg and the nucleus of the organism in order to produce a new one. Most of the time with extinct animals, we don't have that. But there is still hope. As the cloning process became more complex, we needed less and less things from the species of things that we were trying to clone. By 1996, we only needed one adult stomatic cell or body non-sexual cell from the organism we wanted to clone. This advancement resulted in Dolly. Dolly was the first mammal ever to be cloned. She was a Finn Dorset sheep, which had 3 mothers and no father. Dolly's DNA came from a female Dorset sheep. Dolly's egg came from a female Scottish black sheep, a different species, and Dolly's cloned embryo was carried in the womb of a different female Scottish black sheep. The result produced a healthy, whole Finn Dorset sheep. Although she was not the first organism cloned, Dolly was the first organism to be cloned from another adult organism's DNA, and did not require the same species to pose as a womb and an egg. For this reason, Dolly was very important and pretty much created the idea that all we needed to produce a clone of an organism was some bits of DNA and an egg donor from a similar modern species. This idea is indeed true, but we need all of the complete DNA to do this. Any missing bases or corrupted bits of a DNA helix would make this process almost impossible. This is why cloning extinct animals is incredibly difficult. DNA is fragile and must be stored at a low temperature and in ununiform humidity to stay intact. Most extinct animals do not have this type of conditions, resulting in the deterioration of its DNA. A creature such as Buttercup, having been frozen for thousands of years, had these right conditions, so her DNA has not completely deteriorated, leaving the possibility of cloning more possible.
I was frozen today!
The thylacine or Tasmanian tiger, on the other hand, has been extinct since 1936, meaning its DNA is most likely more well preserved due to the lack of time passed for the DNA to deteriorate. The last hope that we will ever see the thylacine ever again lies in the hands or paws of a 6-month-old thylacine pup that has sat preserved in alcohol since 1866. Its DNA has been extracted, yet it is somewhat damaged, less so than Buttercup's. Scientists hope to repair it and use the DNA for cloning. The DNA will be joined with an egg of a surviving cousin of the thylacines and inserted into the womb of a Tasmanian devil or closely related relative and hopefully become the first extinct animal resurrected. Even though we don't have the capability to do so now, scientists predict this will be capable in the next 10 to 20 years. Therefore, bringing back extinct animals from the dead is not entirely impossible. We just need a closely related modern relative to be used as a womb and an egg, as well as a complete or somewhat complete DNA helix. So, is there any hope that we could bring back the dinosaur from its extinction? Well, to put this in perspective, we barely have some of the damaged, degraded DNA of a creature that died 78 years ago. The last dinosaur died about 65 million years ago in a cosmic fiery inferno. Finding any bits of complete or incomplete dinosaur DNA is literally impossible. The movie claims that dinosaur DNA was found inside dino blood sucked by mosquitoes that got stuck in amber of prehistoric trees. The area around the blood fossilized over time, leaving the dino DNA completely intact. Sounds simple, right? The DNA is put in a safe state of protection from the elements. This is indeed wrong. The thing is, even in a protected environment, DNA preserved, such as in amber, degrades over several million years. In 3 to 5 million years, all of the dinosaur DNA would be gone. This is why humans cannot simply seal their DNA in a bottle and hope that an alien could clone us many millions of years in the future. DNA degrades even in a protected, stable environment. It cannot survive for more than 5 million years. The dinosaur DNA would have gone through at least 65 million years of that degrading. Not to mention some creatures' DNA cloned in the movie would have to have been degrading for over 195 million years. The pterosaurs are not dinosaurs, Dimorphodon, featured in the Jurassic World trailer, simply could not have DNA that could have survived so much degrading. Therefore, the scientists could not have any DNA to work as a form of template for cloning. Any tiny remains of incomplete DNA at all simply cannot last that long, in a stable environment or not. So, scientists could never clone dinosaurs due to them existing so long in the past. DNA simply cannot last more than 5 million years, and dinosaurs have long expired that limit, and has degraded into nothingness. Hence, we could never resurrect a dinosaur. Sorry. So to move on to more inaccuracies, let's just believe some bits of DNA survived the 65 million years of degrading. Breaking all logic and science, we found some DNA somewhat degraded but not fully degraded, such as in woolly mammoths frozen in ice. This is apparently what happened in the movie. The DNA is said to be incomplete and has degraded. So let's just assume this DNA just got really lucky and some incomplete parts did survive some of the parts of degrading. To fix this degrading, the movie states that scientists simply filled in some of the parts of the degraded dinosaur DNA with toad DNA to work as a buffer. This is a method of cloning that scientists today hope to do with incomplete DNA of mammoths and thylacines. They will fill in the damaged areas with the DNA of the mammoth or thylacine's closest living relatives, in the mammoth's case, elephants. Due to many of extinct animals having incomplete DNA surviving, we just need to fill it in with a buffer, a type of just fill and replace thing that creates a hybrid. Now, this method is an incredibly difficult process, in which one needs to only select DNA from the closest living ancestor of the extinct animal, and carefully insert it into the missing, degraded sections of the already extremely fragile DNA of an extinct animal. This process would not be entirely impossible in something that has recently gone extinct, such as in mammoths or thylacines, whose DNA would probably not degraded by too much. When we factor in dinosaurs into the mix, whose DNA should be degraded to the point there's nothing left, things get completely impossible. Also, this process poses another problem. The buffer method of simply filling in the missing DNA sections would result in the organism to take an appearance to that extremely close to the buffer, unless the creature we are trying to clone, creating a sort of hybrid of both organisms by combining their DNA. For example, mammoths using this buffer technique would probably appear more elephant-like and have patches of missing hair, depending on what parts of the DNA are filled with the buffer from elephants. So if we are going to use the buffer method for the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, they probably have skin patches of toad skin and have many traits composing of both organisms. This is not the case in the film. Another problem with this buffer process is that selecting a buffer is an extremely difficult task. We would most likely need an ancestor or relative at the most 10 million years evolved apart from the clone to work as a buffer. And due to the dinosaurs not having any closely related modern relatives, we would most likely not use the buffered method presented in the movies. Well, does the movie at least choose a closely to correct relative to work as a buffer? No. So what is it?
The gaps in the DNA sequence. We use the complete DNA of a frog to fill in the holes and complete the code. Whew. And now we can make a baby dinosaur.
This scar is only temporary.
Toads? Yeah, to catch you up, toads aren't related to dinosaurs. The two creatures' ancestry probably split long before the dinosaurs even evolved. In reality, the most accurate buffer of DNA we could use would be the only dinosaurs still living today, the birds. Yes, many people do not know that birds are actually a type of dinosaur. therefore meaning that not all dinosaurs went extinct. So it would make sense that the scientists in the movie would use them as buffers, but no. This is especially weird because you would expect the movie at least to pick a reptile to be used as a buffer. At least they are more closely related to dinosaurs than toads are. It just doesn't make sense. Choosing a toad to be a buffer for a dinosaur is like choosing a snake to be a buffer for a woolly mammoth. There is almost no ancestry between the two animals. It simply just does not make sense. We all know the only reason the toads are used as buffers is for that stupid part that talks about why dinosaurs can reproduce without male mates, like what some toads do today. Even that doesn't make sense. Some reptiles, including Komodo dragons, which are often mistaken for dinosaur relatives, are able to do the same exact method of reproduction. So all in all, there really is no accuracy with how these dinosaurs are produced in the first place, meaning the whole plot of the movie should not exist. Dinosaurs simply could not be cloned. So, yeah. So after we've finished with that crazy fest about cloning and how dinosaurs shouldn't exist in the first place, let's move on to the dinosaurs themselves. Are they accurate?
I was right in the middle of a reptile zoo.
So yeah, all of the dinosaurs in the film series are very inaccurate. The dinosaurs are covered with thick crocodile-like scales, many of them having characteristics of lizards, crocs, and snakes, creatures not related to dinosaurs at all. Many behave like Komodo dragons and other lizard species. The dinosaurs seen in the film are scaly reptilian stereotypes of dinosaurs. Just to remember, this is not butchering scientific evidence, this is shooting it with a machine gun, cutting it up, and nuking it. That being said, let us discover what real dinosaurs look like. So first of all, I don't want to be the first to break this to you, but most dinosaurs had feathers. Not all, but most. There is irrefutable proof that many dinosaurs had feathers and were more bird-like than reptile-like. Over 40 fossils at the moment contain irrefutable proof of feathered dinosaurs, along with perfectly intact dinosaur feathers trapped in amber. How ironic. Now, let me get this straight. These feathers were not the type of feathers for flying we associate with modern birds. These feathers were the dinosaur equivalent of fur. It kept them warm, it allowed them to blend into their environment, and it would probably be used as display like how modern dinosaurs use them themselves. These feathers had many different shapes and sizes like hair on mammals. Some dinosaurs had fuzz, while others had downy feathers for staying warm under spike-like feathers appearing like no other creature living today. Their feathers were just very unique. Some dinosaurs had feathers on their arms creating wings. These wings were not meant to fly and were probably used in a way of steering like the wings of ostriches today. Some dinosaurs did use their feathers for gliding and eventual flying, such as in the case of Microraptor. Now, many of these dinosaurs that were discovered with feathers are theropods, a group which includes TRex, Velociraptor, and Spinosaurus. Some other groups, such as Triceratops and non-theropod dinosaurs, are thought to have feathers too, such as Triceratops's quills. The first evidence of feathers showed up in the Jurassic period of dinosaurs, the beginning of the dinosaur reign, meaning they pretty much began with feathers in their family tree. So, most dinosaurs should at least be featured with feathers. Now, Jurassic Park did have all this evidence to include with their depiction of dinosaurs, yet they chose not to include their dinosaurs with feathers, or make them even remotely bird-like. Due to this, all of Jurassic Park's dinosaurs are featured as reptilian more than dinosaurian. This means that there are a lot of inaccuracies to point out. So let's begin. So first of all, I'm going to address all you fanboys out there that claim that the dinosaurs get a free pass for not having feathers. I know you all say, the dinosaurs don't need or have feathers due to them being toad dinosaur hybrids. Well, once again, it doesn't make sense for these dinosaurs to be toad hybrids in the first place, but that's besides the point. Even if the frog DNA hybrids worked and resulted in featherless dinosaurs, these dinosaurs would not appear the way that they do in the movie. These hybrid frog dinosaurs are extremely lizard-like and snake-like. They act and look like reptiles. If they were dinosaur, they would act more bird-like. If they were frog hybrids, they would act more like amphibians. Look, the dinosaurs in the film have thick reptilian scales, If they were frog or dino hybrids, they would either have amphibian skin that needs to stay wet, or feathers, which they have neither of these. Then where do the scales come from? Look at this pre-production video displaying a velociraptor with a snake tongue. Frogs don't have snake tongues. Dinosaurs most likely did not have snake tongues and are not related to snakes. So why do they look and act more like lizards more than dinosaurs or frogs? I know the answer. These dinosaurs are not examples of frog-dino hybrids, but once again stereotyped dinosaurs from the early 1900s. Hypothetically, let's just say the toad idea worked. Even if that were true, dinosaurs in the movie would not look the way that they do. The only trait we know that dinosaurs share with toads in the movie is their form of reproduction, due to them able to reproduce the same way as a toad. And if this were true, they fail once again in that category. The method toads use to reproduce does not involve hard eggshells, unlike portrayed in the movie. Toads and frogs reproduce using tadpoles and eggs that must be laid in water. They later metamorphose when they hatch and later become adults. Now, the dinosaurs in the film obviously don't have this way of reproducing, as we saw that they lay hard eggshells to reproduce, meaning they don't have the same method of reproduction as toads. If they wanted to portray the reproduction of a hybrid dinosaurs right, we would see that these dinosaurs have an aquatic portion of their lives. A more accurate toad hybrid was produced by C.M. Kozman. His drawing displays that many characteristics of both organisms are carried into the dinosaur clones. These realistic dinosaur hybrids have a giant tadpole stage just like they should. If the dinosaurs were hybrids, we would see more of both organisms and not just reptilian characteristics that neither of them would have. So the underlying thought is, if you believe that dinosaurs get a free pass for being inaccurate just because they're toad hybrids and not fully dinosaurs, you are wrong. Even if they are toad hybrids, the dinosaurs should look more dinosaur or more toad-like than they are portrayed as. The dinosaurs in the movie have traits neither organism has, therefore is inaccurate by itself, dinosaur or not. Now that we've got those dreadful fan theories out of the way, let's start to do single examinations with everybody's favorite T-Rex. Yeah, applaud if you will, but T-Rex is only popular by luck. If World War II never happened, T-Rex's popularity would have been traded for much larger and more terrifying dinosaurs. And also T-Rex is popular because he's American. But that's besides the point. The T-Rex is by far the star of Jurassic Park, being the main antagonist or anti-hero she is highly focused on in the film, and by gosh, did they get her wrong. For the most part, T-Rex is somewhat right. She is 43 feet long, the largest real T-Rex found, named Sue, was 40 feet long, so that's just 3 feet off, so I'll let that slide. The film also claims that T-Rex would run 32 miles per hour. In reality, some studies have shown T-Rex could run over 45 miles an hour. So the movie is correct in that area too. But yeah, we all know what you really want to hear. Did your precious T-Rex have feathers? Well, most likely yes. I know you guys are disappointed to hear that from me, but for the longest time, T-Rex was predicted to be featherless. This was until the D-Long dinosaur was discovered. D-Long. The D-Long was an ancestor to T-Rex and T-Rex relatives, and it was covered in feathers. Scientists started to believe that T-Rex might have had feathers due to this discovery. This evidence was not certain proof that D-Long's descendants had feathers, so this idea was not widely accepted. Tyrannosaurus rex would have stayed featherless too if it were not for that recent discovery in 2012, when Tyrannosaurus was discovered. Tyrannosaurus was an even closer relative to T-Rex, being an extremely close cousin, and was covered in feathers. This discovery was pretty certain proof that T-Rex had feathers. Now, if it was covered in them, was a different story. Due to Tyrannus being considerably smaller than T-Rex, it causes a problem. Like modern elephants, a larger animal would need to release more heat. Hair and feathers trap that heat. Smaller animals and dinosaurs don't have this problem, but bigger animals do. This is why elephants have less hair than other related animals. This logic has been a factor in the amount of feather coverage T-Rex had. Due to its much larger size, many scientists believe T-Rex might have had some feathers, but was not covered in them to stop heat trapping. So, most likely T-Rex did have feathers, but probably not a lot of them, depending on what environment it lived in. This makes the T-Rex in the films very inaccurate due to its lack of any feathers. Now, what about T-Rex's eyesight? Yeah, we all remember this scene, don't move or the dinosaur will see you. Well, did T-Rex have poor eyesight? Actually, no! Recent studies have shown that the T-Rex had great vision. The placement of its eyes allowed a perfect line of sight, unlike crocodiles that have many blind spots. This makes sense. T-Rex would need great eyes to survive out in the wild. If it could not sense when an organism was right in front of it, it would easily get outsmarted by its prey and starve to death. Actually, believe it or not, T-Rex's eyesight was one of the best among all dinosaurs. We know that Tyrannosaurus Rex's position of its eyes were very similar to that of modern humans, but their eyes and optic lobe were much larger than that of modern humans. T-Rex, unlike most dinosaurs, had a combination of powerful eyesight and great sense of smell. So, in real life, a T-Rex could definitely sense if Dr. Grant was in front of it or not. So, all in all, T-Rex was greatly misidentified in the movie as a giant, blind Komodo dragon, when in reality, it was a feathered creature with some of the best hunting skills to ever walk the earth.